In the remote and picturesque village of Black Hollow, nestled deep within a dense forest, life had always been simple. The villagers lived in harmony, their days filled with farming, storytelling, and laughter. But one fateful morning, everything changed. The adults, every single one of them, vanished without a trace. No bodies, no signs of struggle, no explanation. Only the children remained, left to fend for themselves in a world they barely understood. At first, panic gripped the village. Babies cried uncontrollably as older children tried desperately to calm them. Toddlers wandered aimlessly, searching for parents who would never return. Teenagers, thrust into roles far beyond their years, attempted to organize food distribution, tend to crops, and maintain order. But as hours turned into days, fear gave way to grim determination. The children realized that if they wanted to survive, they would have to rely on each other. Rumors spread quickly among the youngest survivors. Some claimed the adults had been abducted by spirits from the forest, while others whispered of a secret government experiment gone wrong. A few even suggested aliens had taken them, leaving only the children behind because they were deemed less valuable. None of these theories could be proven, but they fueled both hope and paranoia. The children began keeping watch at night, convinced that whatever had taken the adults might return for them too. As weeks passed, the reality of their situation became clear. Crops needed harvesting, livestock required feeding, and winter was approaching. Without guidance or experience, the children struggled to keep the village functioning. Arguments broke out over how to divide resources, and alliances formed and dissolved with alarming speed. Amid the chaos, a 16-year-old boy named Elias emerged as an unlikely leader. Though he had no special skills beyond basic carpentry, his calm demeanor and ability to listen earned him the trust of most of the children. Elias organized work teams, assigning tasks based on age and strength. Younger kids were tasked with gathering firewood and fetching water, while teenagers took on heavier responsibilities like repairing roofs and hunting for food. He also established nightly meetings around a large bonfire where everyone could share their fears, frustrations, and ideas. These gatherings became a lifeline for the children, offering not just practical solutions, but also emotional support. For many, it was the only time they felt truly connected to something larger than themselves. But not all was well in Black Hollow. Strange occurrences began plaguing the village almost immediately after the disappearance of the adults. Livestock started dying under mysterious circumstances, their bodies found mutilated near the edge of the forest. Tools and supplies went missing overnight, despite being locked away securely. And then, there were the whispers, the faint, indistinct murmurs that seemed to come from nowhere and everywhere at once. They grew louder during storms, echoing through empty houses and abandoned fields, sending shivers down even the bravest spines. One particularly unsettling incident involved a group of children exploring the old church on the outskirts of town. Inside, they discovered cryptic symbols carved into the walls, along with jars containing what appeared to be human teeth. When questioned about it later, none of them could explain why they hadn't reported the discovery sooner. They simply couldn't remember walking back to the village. It was as though something had erased chunks of their memory, leaving behind only fragments of unease. Despite these horrors, life continued, or rather, persisted. The children learned to adapt in ways they never thought possible. They built traps to protect themselves from wild animals, created makeshift schools to teach younger ones basic reading and math, and even held festivals to celebrate small victories like successful harvests or repaired wells. Yet beneath this veneer of resilience lay a growing sense of dread. Everyone knew the truth. Whatever had taken the adults could strike again at any moment. Then came the day when a stranger arrived in Black Hollow. She was a middle-aged woman, dressed in tattered clothes, her face gaunt and eyes hollow. She introduced herself as Margaret, claiming to have escaped from another village that had suffered the same fate. According to her, the disappearances weren't random acts of violence or supernatural phenomena. They were part of a ritual orchestrated by an ancient entity known only as the Keeper. confronting the keeper. This being, she explained, fed on fear and despair, using entire populations as sacrifices to maintain its power. Margaret revealed that the adults hadn't vanished entirely. They were still alive, trapped in a liminal space between worlds. Their consciousnesses lingered, aware of their surroundings but unable to act. The keeper kept them there as bargaining chips, forcing the remaining children to endure unimaginable hardships until it decided whether to release them or consume them entirely. Her own village, she said, had resisted the entity's influence for months before succumbing to madness and starvation. She had fled just before the final sacrifice, driven by guilt and a desperate hope that someone, somewhere, might find a way to stop the keeper. Her words sent shockwaves through Black Hollow. Some children clung to her story as proof that their ordeal wasn't meaningless, while others dismissed her as delusional or worse, a pawn sent by the keeper to sow discord. Elias, however, saw an opportunity. If Margaret was telling the truth, then perhaps there was a way to fight back. Together, they devised a plan to confront the keeper directly, using clues hidden in the symbols carved into the church walls. The ritual required 3 things: a blood offering, a personal artifact from each child, and a chant recited in unison. Gathering these items proved difficult, especially convincing the younger ones to part with cherished belongings. But eventually, everything was ready. On the night of the full moon, the children gathered inside the church, their faces illuminated by flickering candlelight. As Margaret led them in the chant, the air grew heavy and the temperature plummeted. Shadows danced across the walls, twisting into grotesque shapes that seemed alive. Suddenly, the ground shook violently, and a deafening roar filled the room. From the darkness emerged a towering figure cloaked in shadow, its form constantly shifting and reforming. Eyes glowing like embers stared down at the terrified children, and a voice, not audible but resonating directly in their minds, spoke. "You dare challenge me?" Elias stepped forward, clutching a locket that had belonged to his mother. With trembling hands, he placed it on the altar and shouted, "We won't let you take us!" For a moment, nothing happened. Then, slowly, the figure began to dissolve, its edges fraying like smoke caught in a breeze. The keeper screamed, a sound so piercing it shattered windows and knocked several children off their feet. But it was fading. As the last remnants of the entity disappeared, a wave of warmth washed over the church, and the oppressive atmosphere lifted. Outside, dawn broke over Black Hollow, casting golden light across the village for the first time in months. When the children returned home, they found their parents lying unconscious in their beds, seemingly unharmed. Over the next few days, the adults regained consciousness, confused and disoriented, but otherwise healthy. None of them remembered anything about their disappearance or the time they'd spent in the liminal space. To them, it felt like mere hours had passed since they'd last seen their children. Life in Black Hollow gradually returned to normal, or as close to normal as it could be after such an ordeal. The children refused to speak about what had happened, fearful that sharing their experiences would invite the keeper back. Years later, when the children had grown into adults themselves, whispers of the event still circulated. Some claimed to hear faint echoes of the ritual chants during thunderstorms, while others swore they saw shadowy figures lurking at the edge of the forest. Margaret, the mysterious stranger who had helped save the village, vanished shortly after the confrontation with the keeper, leaving behind only a note that read, "It's not over. Stay vigilant." To this day, no one knows exactly how or why the adults disappeared. Was it truly the work of an ancient entity, or was there a more mundane explanation buried beneath layers of myth and memory? Whatever the truth, one thing remains certain. The children of Black Hollow faced an impossible challenge and emerged stronger for it. Their story serves as both a testament to human resilience and a chilling reminder of the forces that lurk just beyond our understanding. And so, the legend of Black Hollow endures, a haunting tale of loss, courage, and redemption. For every generation that follows, it stands as a warning. Some secrets are better left undisturbed, and some battles are fought not with weapons, but with sheer willpower and unity. Behind every shadow in the forest, every creak of an old house, lies the lingering possibility that the keeper is still watching, waiting for its chance to return. Perhaps it already has.